If you have ever gotten a um, license of any kind to run a business, if you have ever applied for a telephone, if you have ever gotten a mortgage, all of your information, your social security number, your driver's license number, your addresses are all out there on the internet. It just ticks me to no end to get some of my older friends. I'm not going to order online. I don't do Amazon. I don't this. I don't that. Doesn't matter. It absolutely does not matter. It's all already out there. Some of you guys that are in real estate and financial industries have heard of a little company called LexisNexis. Anybody? Anybody? Hello? Okay. Those guys sell every piece of information. We've only got 300 million people in the US, but they have billions of records. Where do you think those billions of records come from? They have your kid's ID. They have your parents' ID. They have all of the deceased individuals that have gone on since Social Security was invented in 1933. It's all out there. And it has nothing to do with protecting yourself. It has to do with being prepared so that when they use your data that's already out there, you're ready. That is what I have learned. I don't know how to really uplift and cajole and encourage guys when I look around every day. I'm like a doctor, okay? We always go with the pessimistic side because that's what we see every day. You know, the 80% of the people that come to us are dying already. Well, the guys that I deal with every day are already in the deep soup, you know, and but the changes that are happening this month with ID Shield, man, if you don't get yourself educated, watch Melissa Peters' trainings, especially number 9 and number 12, where she spoke back in June on learning how to effectively explain ID Shield. And then the latest one on the 23rd was to do with the changes. We now are beyond. There is no competition. I don't care if you see LifeLock. I don't care if you see Vura, Vira, and all the rest of them. If you get to an advertisement that is showing a identity protective service, okay, go to the Who Is. Who is an application from ICANN. They are the people that list every URL in the world. And they will tell you who owns that website, who runs that website, where that website is posted, everything you need to know. And you'll find that most of the sponsored advertisements for identity protection services are just a bunch of crap. Excuse my French. They're peddled and they're run and they're internally controlled, especially by you big boys like Norton and LifeLock. You know, and you also have to look at the age of the information. So what I have seen from actually pursuing identity theft cases and chasing down individuals. I mean, can I back up 1 second? One thing I need to tell you, I deal with databases as a private investigator. They're owned by IDI, IRB, TLO. TLO is a subsidiary of TransUnion, which is one of the big three. And we did TransUnion up until the last month when it came to the FICO score. And Fair Isaac Corporation, in my opinion, is a crock, but who cares? Everybody goes by it. At any rate, we are Experian. Experian is rated at number 9 right now, and ID Shield is rated at number 6, and it's all based on dated, manipulated information. What you guys have to do is get educated. I'm telling you, we are missing the boat as Legal Shield reps. I'm going to back up and tell you one more thing. I'm only going to take about 3 more minutes. My friend down the street, my best friend, married a lady named Bonnie Salt, who got sponsored by Alex Shaheed down in the Birmingham area. And she wanted to show me Legal Shield. Well, I joined up and I went to the first national convention that came up as a part of an investigation of Legal Shield. I performed an actual investigation undercover as a Legal Shield representative, but I was recording everything, everybody. I knew social security numbers, income levels, tax records. You know, that's just what I was doing. And I figured out real quick, there is no better organization to be aligned with on the planet. That's my professional opinion. None, absolutely none. There are none any better. But what I want to back up and say is that I love this company. I love this opportunity. And if I can ever do anything, John has my contact information. If you need a testimonial, if you need some war stories, I have a ton of them. And there are no substitutes, not LifeLock, not Norton. With our Trend Micro, one more tip. When I have ISPs that I use, I don't use their router. I buy my own router. The routers I use are exclusively Asus Corporation because Asus Tech embeds Trend Micro inside every machine. Bing, bing. Does that ring any bells? Trend Micro. And we have exclusive access. What I guess that's the word I'm looking for, is access. And we can market that, and we can empower people to be prepared, not if, but when the guys choose to use your data that's out there. Please go look at the new changes. There is no plan change, okay? I don't mean to infer that there is. There are feature upgrades that have happened this month, okay? No price changes, but feature upgrades. We now have more. For instance, instead of $1 million in insurance, you have $3 million, okay? John, I want you to take it over. I've hit half your time, and I just want to be able to make people understand somehow that you're sitting on a gold mine.
David, thank you. And hey, let me ask you something, just so we're all clear kind of on the phone. I like a couple of comments you made. You know, it's not about being protected, it's about being prepared.
Yes, sir.
I think that's fantastic. And I'm going to come back to that for everybody here with kind of a teaching moment. You made a comment that we're missing the boat as Legal Shield reps. And I'm discerning what you mean by that is we're missing the boat because we as associates need to do a better job understanding our features and our services. Is that would you be in agreement with that?
That is exactly what I'm saying. And case in point is I sit my ED is one of the best trainers in the world. His name's Alex Shaheed. And even Alex has a tendency, because of the association and because of the training within Legal Shield, is we just skip past the ID Shield part and say, we mention it, it's one of the benefits. And I'm so glad to see the new wheel of opportunity, that those 6 points, you really got to get into all of the features and become a full service rep, not just going into a group and selling some Legal Shield memberships, because there's 6 other products and ID Shield is one of them.
Yep. Yeah. Thank you, David. I completely agree. Hey, listen, I'm one of the guilty ones. I did not understand the power of Trend Micro until probably about the last maybe 90 days. And what an amazing feature, what an amazing benefit we have tied in. And from an exclusivity or even an access perspective, I think is just really solid. David, I appreciate your time. And if you don't mind, I'd like to have a follow-up with you and the team, maybe in the next 3 months or so, and kind of get a few more of the stories and any updates you might have.
Whatever you need, boss, you just call.
All right, brother. I appreciate you. Hey, and don't tell Alex. I mean, he's a pretty sharp guy. Poor choice of football teams, but you know, I still like him.
Don't you say that in front of my wife. My dad went to the University of Alabama, and that's how we got hooked in. But all my brother and his wife and all their kids and my sister and they all went to Auburn. So what can I say?
Yeah, you guys are a mixed up state. I get it. Hey, listen, my guys beat the Michigan State Spartans this weekend, so I'm completely fine with that. And I'm sure Tony will weigh in a minute. But anyhow, thank you, David. Appreciate you, man.
Want me to mute out?
Yeah, go ahead. I'm good with you. And have a great night. Enjoy that.
So much.
Enjoy that barbecue you were cooking earlier. All right. Let me go back to a comment he made, everybody, and I think then Jane, if we've got time, I do have a story that I'm reminded of with the identity theft.
We have a couple of stories.
Okay, good. Well, I'll kind of hustle through this. You know, look, as I just think of Trend Micro for a second, you know, and put this in your notes, ladies and gentlemen. Retention is your pension. You've heard me say it a number of times. Retention is your pension. And obviously, with our legal plan, we want to get people to use the product. I mean, just simply getting their will done escalates the retention almost 7 points, 70% by having that will done, engaging them and using that product. And you're going to see that product last much, much, much longer. If they don't use it, they cancel. Well, what happens when they've got a bundled service? What happens when they, utilize the Trend Micro? What happens when they've got the mobile apps? What happens when they've, are looking and seeing what their credit score is? What happens when they're getting alerts? Once they start to get, kind of an acceptance to what it is we offer, you're not going to see cancellations, and your retention is going to be your pension. And you have to move that kind of leadership topic down into your organization. You teach A, how to teach B, how to teach C, how to sponsor D. And that's really where security can come from when you're building in this type of a business. I'll never forget It was a few years back, and I was in Detroit, Michigan, and we had just finished a Super Saturday. It was the event after the event, and this lady came up to me, probably in her mid 70s, early 70s, and she had a white jumpsuit on. I'll never forget it. And she goes, she comes up, she goes, you know, Mr. Hoffman, I just want to thank you for what you do. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? You know what? Obviously, there's more to the story. She says, well, my husband and I have been a victim of identity theft for the last 12 years. We live in Birmingham, Michigan. We have a combined income of just shy of $200,000 a year. And everybody in our small town of Birmingham thinks we're criminals. When we go to the bank, we are charged higher interest rates because we are considered high risk. The insurance companies look at us as for criminals. We can't get credit cards. We have to pay for everything in cash. She goes, I just want to thank you because it took your company 300 hours to find out that someone in Ford Motor Credit 10 years earlier had sold her and her husband's information to organized crime for $60. Someone in Ford Motor Credit sold her and her husband's information to organized crime for $60. Understand, she had our Legal Shield family plan. She had the Legal Shield identity theft plan. But because it was pre-existing, it took our private investigators 300 hours to get her identity back. Do you think, ladies and gentlemen, that she would have ever gotten her identity back on her own? Absolutely not. It took our investigators, and she came out of pocket for less than $1,500 to pay for that part of the service because it was pre-existing. You know, and I've got another 50 stories, just not like that one, but similar with how this service is protected, but more importantly, had people prepared to get their life back. So you're going to find me putting as much emphasis on the identity theft as I do the legal. You're going to find me as putting as much emphasis on the supplements, the gun owners plan, just as much as I do anything else. Consider the 3 words, full service associate. What can you do to be more of that full service associate when you're out in the marketplace, seeing the people and telling the story? So Jane, who else we got?
I couldn't write fast enough taking all those notes, John. Thank you.
Yeah.
What I'm going to do is I'm going out to Lee Perry, who is facilitating the identity theft stories tonight that we've been able to gather. I just want to remind people, I had a woman come up to me who told me a story that her 2-year-old had bought a BMW in New York. This is child's identity theft. Was that monitored? Probably. Were they looking? No, we don't look at child's identity theft. So that was one area. Another one was a friend of mine who, in the town I used to live in, her husband died of cancer. 3 years later, she started getting credit cards for things he was buying. This is deceased identity theft. So there are all these areas that we have to watch out for, and we are now monitoring that deceased family member identity theft. So with that, I'm going out to Lee to get a couple of stories that we've got people lined up.
Thanks so much, Jane. I got a phone call about 2 months ago from the coworker of a happy member who had just received a call from her mom crying. She's in her 80s, and she had been contacted by supposedly a Medicare representative who wanted her to get her new plastic Medicare card and needed to validate all of her personal information. And she realized she'd messed up when they asked for money. She hung up, called her daughter crying. I said, get your mom on the phone. We got mom signed up. We did a 3-way call with the private investigator. He was the most gracious, kindest, most helpful person. He called Medicare on a 4-way call and got her straightened out and helped her, told her to do some additional things with the bank. And so she left that call feeling like someone had her back, and she finally quit crying. So I think Karen Irish Borrego, Karen, you've got a story as well that you want to share.
Sure. Someone went on my Facebook and LinkedIn and they took care of it immediately. But the one that I really like is Dr. Corey. And this was before we had VPN. He was at the Verizon store and they were on public Wi-Fi. And so all his information was scammed. And he's in California and he got a notification that someone was opening up an account at Home Depot for $30,000 in Tennessee. And they immediately put all double verifications on all his credit, and actually stopped the transaction and got video surveillance. And he is still a member today because he was totally wrote a really big thank you letter.
Oh man, thanks for sharing that, Karen. And it just goes to show how important the coast to coast coverage is as well. Georgette Lee, I think you've got a story for us this evening.
Yes, ma'am. So, I've been with Legal Shield for a few, oh gosh, 5.5, almost 6 years now. And I've always told my family, hey, it's here if you need it, no pressure. My dad passed away 2 years ago, this past June. My mom called me last year crying and said, I think I made a mistake. I don't know what to do. All of the money that your dad had left for me and for you guys after I pass is gone. I don't know what to do. She had been scammed online. She knew it, but the bank said that because she had initiated it, there was nothing they could do to get the money back. So she called me and she said, I know you have this service. I know I should have done this years ago. Do you think they can help me? And I said, you know what? I don't know, but all we can do is try. And so she signed up for the service. She talked with ID Shield, gave them everything that she could think of. And they said, we don't know, but we'll take a look at it. And months had gone by. She got a call from the bank and said, I need you to come in and fill out this paperwork. We're not sure what's happening. There's a deposit of $60,000 in your bank account. And she said, it's not mine. I want nothing to do with it. I'll be over. And she started filling out some stuff. And she said, let me make a phone call. And she called ID Shield, and they were the ones that had been able to recover 60,000 of the 78 that they had stolen. So she's like, I'll never let go of this, and made a believer out of her. So she tells everybody.
Fantastic. And thank goodness we were able to help with that. Oh my gosh, Georgette, thank you for sharing. And I saw that Carlos Bird was on, and that's kind of Carlos's area of expertise. Carlos, if you're still on, I'm sure you've got a story that you'd like to share with us as well.
Yes, I am here. How you doing?
Good to see you.
Great, great. And we have several stories about the identity theft. There was a gentleman that, we always like to share both of our plans, and we sold him a membership, but then 2 weeks later, he came back and wanted to get the plan because he was trying to get his taxes done, and he was going back 3 years on his taxes, and found out that 2 years had already been done. So he had to come back and get the identity theft program to get assistance. So it's very important that we share both plans, because you never know what happens behind the scenes.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Carlos. I really appreciate you. And one of the things I've taken to saying, especially hearing what Mr. Whitson said, is we are now your sole source for personal cybersecurity protection. All right, Jane, thanks for letting me host the stories. Back to you.
Wow. I hope everybody could write fast enough to get those all down. This is recorded, and I do want to apologize that at the beginning, we pride ourselves on getting that recording started, and tonight's the one night we forgot. But we got everything after the introduction. So John, do you have any final comments?
No, I think as a reminder for everybody, stories sell and facts tell. That's the beauty of you taking notes. That's the beauty of you keeping a journal. And when you come across maybe someone like, Georgette, where her family is maybe not quite, ready to buy a plan, where Georgette says, I'll always be here for you. It's just an opportunity for us to just step up our game and say, well, have you ever thought about this? Have you ever thought about this? Have you ever thought about this? Stories sell and facts tell. And I can't tell you, it's extremely warming to hear Georgette's story. I mean, I love all the stories, but to think that her mom was able to capture 60,000 of the 70,000+ that the bank was willing to keep, but she had professionals step up and come alongside her. The question I would ask you again is, would she have been able to do that by herself? And we know the answer is no. So the protection, the peace of mind, the security we bring is second to none. don't forget, don't take it for granted. Don't buy other people's stories. Understand who you are, understand what you have to offer, and, you know, continue to move forward, never look back. So I'm not going to tell you who our next week's speaker is going to be. I think y'all got an idea what we're doing, how we're doing it. Plug in, invite your guests, and I look forward to seeing everybody soon. Jane?
John,
Yes,
Thank-
I see
Yeah, hold
that
on,
David
hold on,
Whitson
Jane.
would like to say something.
Yep. Yeah, David, go
I
ahead.
need 15 seconds if I can.
Yep.
Go for it.
We used to use Kroll out of New York way back when we had the legacy, and that's the way the plan was originally begun, and we outgrew them, and we had all those, you know, growing pains. And then there was 3G out of Colorado. Colorado used to be a licensed state. Colorado's legislature dropped the licensing of investigators in Colorado. Now we have our own in-house investigators at Legal Shield Corporation. They're all licensed in the state of Oklahoma, okay? And they have 4 certifications. The reason I would use them to check on my ID theft instead of doing it myself, they have 4 certifications in order for them to be employed by Legal Shield. I do not have those certifications, okay? They are all Fair Credit Reporting Act certified. They are all theft risk management specialists, and they are credit scoring specialists, and they are credit report reviewer specialists. Those are certifications above and beyond obtaining a license. And that's something that you guys need to remember. And that is on one of Melissa Peters' slides, that whole list. Go watch her sales presentations. I'm done. Thank you.
And
Wow.
David, I would add to that not only the certifications, but their breadth of knowledge
Yes,
added to their breadth of experience means that they've seen probably almost everything. And
Yes,
those
sir.
are the guys I like to have in the ring with me. So thank you, David. Good stuff, Jane.
Okay, John, people are asking if he could please type in those 4 certifications into the chat. You know, I know this is going to be recorded. It is recorded. I know that you're going to have the recording up. When can we expect to see this recording? Because I think everybody wants to go back and watch it.
Yeah, I tell you what, that's a good question. Trish will be in the morning. I would like to think we'll have that recording up no later than Friday. I'll make sure that we get it up no later than Friday.
That sounds great. And David, if you'd reach out to John, give him that information, the certifications, and we'll make sure that that gets out to everyone as well. All right, with that, everybody just be here next Monday. And wow, I don't even know what else to say. There's nothing else to say. This was incredible. Thank you so much, John. See you all next week. Bye-bye.
Thank you, David. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.